are women. We are women, bountiful and free. We are women, from mountains to the sea. We are women, our smile shines brighter than the sun. We are women, you heard us. You better pick up and run. We are women, willful and so strong. We are women, our days are always long. We are women, our evenings are never ending. We are women, we can be your advocate and your dearest friend. We are women, given from the womb. We are women, when we walk in, we can light up any room. We are women, our body gives you life. We are women, and also your loving wife. We are women, nurtures by design. We are women, we may be hurting, but we look fine. We are women, when required, we bring the heat. We are women, tender and complete. We are women, the queens of any kingdom. We are women, we bring insights and much wisdom. As we age, our looks may fare and fade, but yet and still we are women, God's creation beautifully made. So I say to women, one and all, hold your head up high and know your value, because you, my dear women, deserve the shield of valor. Ste'FIRE.
Come with us, we on a sistership. Yeah, we on a sistership. Go with us, we on a sistership. Sistership, we got it. Now come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about sistership, we got it. Now come on, let's talk about it. Let's talk about sistership, about that. Talk about faith, let's talk about that. Let's talk about feelings, let's talk about it. Talk about, let's talk about it. We're my sisters, we got this, sisters. You go with me and I roll with y'all. We're my sisters, we got this, sisters. You go with me and I roll with y'all. Substance, oh, yes. You know we on a mission, no games. Hey,
Yes.
Cause we've been to the rain. Now it's gonna shine like flame. Talk about life skills. We building up our quality, the right will. We rolling out of poverty, love kills. So we become the prodigy of how a sistership could be a really hot commodity. Stand together, hey, support each other's dreams and our plans, doing everything we can. Come on. Just to show we understand the power of a friendship, family, life on purpose. Together we can learn. Hey, we don't want to see you hurt and be here for each other. No matter the color networking. That's for sure and for certain. Hey, yeah, we on a sistership. We on a sistership. We on a sistership. I got back to the stage. Hey, we're my sisters. We got this, sisters. You roll with me and I roll with you. We're my sisters. We got this, sisters. You roll with me and I roll with you. Sistership, we got it. Now come on, let's talk about. Let's talk about sistership. Hey, come on, let's talk about. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about faith. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about healing. Let's talk about it. Talk about. Let's talk about. We on a sistership. We on a sistership. Ste'FIRE. It's Women's History Month. Take over.
Ladies, it is Women's History Month, and the sistership is rolling into this month as our first topic of the month. And I'm excited because the sistership encompasses everything that we are as women. And I want to just say thank you for joining us. For those that are out there that are joining us as well, please make sure you're commenting, you're adding your questions. We want to make sure we're hearing from you. But first and foremost, I'm going to introduce Spicy, Jane, aka Spicy. How you doing, Jane?
Good. Thank you for letting me be on this most important and most loving subject. Thank you.
We're excited to have you on. I personally am very excited to have you on because you are one with quite a bit of wisdom and understanding of what we've evolved through over the number of years. And you are one of our queenagers. So I think it's important because I was born in the 70s. So for me, I didn't experience
baby. You're a baby.
I'm a 70s kid, so just saying. Oh my God. So we will move. So if nobody knows, my name is Ste'FIRE, Queen of Bling. My official name is Stefania Johnson, aka Stefire, because I spit the fire and I got some bling. Oh man, with that said, I want to welcome for the first time as part of the Sistahship. I'm so happy to have you on, Trish.
Ooh.
Hey, her AKA is Trish as well. She is radiant. Girlfriend, let's talk.
Hello. You know what? When you said that the first time on as part of the Sistahship, I felt that. I almost cried, but then I remembered I was on air and I can't let everybody to see. You know. I saw I could be. Honor, it is a privilege to be with you two ladies. As you said, 70s and wisdom. I'm in the middle. I will be rolling up on number 53, or should I say number 35 on April 20th. You know.
Hey, honey, you look good you look good. You're 35. That's what we're sticking with.
That's right. Exactly.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
Man.
It's a privilege to be here today.
Oh, you know what? It's a privilege to have you ladies on. And, you know, it's such an important subject. And I am happy that we're actually talking about Women's History Month because, again, I think it's so important because of the evolution of women, you know, rights and, you know, constitutions and things that have changed throughout history. And just to give people a little perspective of Women's History Month, it started with Women's History Week. It was only 1 week initially. And I want to read something because, you know, I talked about, I was talking with someone regarding, you know, as I was doing a lot of research, because I do need to learn a lot more than, you know, I'm still learning. And I'm okay with, you know, still learning about women's history because I think we do need to understand where we came from and how we've evolved and then where we're going. I think the biggest focus is also about where are we going from here, right? So to know that, we need to know where we came from and how it all started.
Come on.
Women's History Week. So I'll read this because it really was profound for me. And this came from Jimmy Carter when it was actually the messaging that was designated for National Women's History Week. And it was from the first settlers who came to our shores from the first American Indian families who befriended them. Men and women have worked together to build this nation. Too often, the women were unsung and sometimes their contributions went unnoticed, but the achievements, leadership, courage, strength, and love of the women who built America was as vital as that of the men whose names we know so well. Man, when I read that, I said, we're celebrating our unsung heroes. And I asked folks to, you know, kind of send their unsung heroes because we do know names of individuals throughout history that are always celebrated, but we never talk about those that are the true unsung heroes and bring those people out. So this is exactly what this show is about. So again, appreciate you ladies joining on here. So I'm gonna throw this out here. So we have a little bit of history, right, that we want to kind of get to. I'm gonna ask Jane because Jane, you have obviously a little more history and understand more of what transpired through the years.
Right.
Being in the movement, I'll say.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit of kind of your background and how you saw things and see the evolution over time. What have you kind of worked through as far as, you know, kind of being in the movement?
Yeah, so I mean, I was born in the 50s, early 50s, and grew up throughout, you know, the burning of the bra and the, you know, women's marches and civil rights and women's rights and a woman's right to choose and so on. And I have to tell you, the change that has come, it has been huge. Okay, it's brought us a lot of what we are and what we can be today. However, the struggle is not over, which you all know. But just just to give you a little bit of something to think about. So in the late 1960s, early 70s, women who became police officers were not allowed to leave the building of the precinct. Okay, they had to wear navy blue skirts, white shirts, high heels, and nylons. They filed, they answered phones, they served coffee. They were not allowed to ride in a police car. They were not allowed to carry a weapon. They weren't allowed to walk a beat. They were not allowed to do anything that the men did. Okay, it was two wonderful women who became police officers that said, no, this is not going to happen. They started protesting and fighting for the rights of women who wanted to be a police officer to be able to be treated equally. The unfortunate thing was, it was considered, okay, we will let you do all those things. We'll let you walk a beat, ride in a police car, drive a police car, which they were not allowed to do, carry a weapon, and, go out into the public, but you won't get equal pay. Okay. So they said, okay, we'll take that. And they took it because women are smart and saying, okay, I'll take the little, but I'm definitely going to fight for the greater. And so they took the little, and then they became equally paid. I want to say a good 5-6 years later. The reason I use that example, that was in the late 60s, early 70s. It was not that long ago. Okay. And along with all of that movement came to be the actual, women allowed to become not just police officers, but they were allowed to infiltrate into the marketing, the business world. Okay. They were allowed to become doctors, lawyers. Now, don't get me wrong, women were those things, but it was less than 1% of women back in the day. Now they're finding, oh my gosh, we do have a brain. We are smart. We can be equal when it comes to business, when it comes to different things in life. But my question that I want to put out to women, and listen, I love men. Don't get me wrong. I like them. I think they're great.
Just to be
okay? And I'm not bashing them.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
Are they capable of doing it all as women are? Let's face it. Most of us run businesses, work in very stressful jobs, come home, start our second job. Laundry, housework, helping kids with school. I mean, all of those things. When my dad came home, he sat and watched the news till dinner was ready. He got called in, he ate dinner, went back in, watched the TV. My mom, cleaned the table, did all those other things.
Right.
I have to proudly say, raising 3 sons, my sons do all of those things as well. They change diapers. They bathe the kids. They help clean the house. And I'm proud to say my husband was the one who taught them to do that.
Nice.
Okay. He always said to my boys, unless you marry somebody independently wealthy, you're going to have to learn to help because your wife is probably going to have to work. And so my children, yes, all sons, they know how to do laundry. They know how to run a dishwasher, clean out a dishwasher, clean a house. They know how to do that. But my question that I want to put out there is, how many men can do it all? Not a lot, unfortunately.
How many men or
not a lot.
Sorry, how many men or women can do it all?
Yeah.
So Trish. So based on what Jane had asked, and Jane, are you referring to women or men can do it all?
I'm asking women, do you think that men can do it all?
Can do it all?
We all. We have done it all.
Yes.
I
Trish,
mean, think about it. We do it every day.
I think we got our hands up on them because
yes.
well, we birthed children, so that definitely is
exactly. First of all, not to be bashing them, and I applaud my husband because he cook, he cleans, he can chauffeur the kids. Mm-hmm. However, we know when men get sick, the world fell apart. We get sick. We don't have time to get sick. Right. You know, exactly. My husband gets sick and he's like, you don't even show me no emotion. I'm sorry. I can't relate to that. You know?
Yeah. So until their body is split in half to give birth, hello. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So like, this is I mean, it's funny.
Wait a minute. How they say it? We could bleed for a week and don't die.
So hold on, let's take this back for a second. Let's take it back because I agree.
Yeah.
But so let me ask this. So, you know, Jane, you asked a good question, you know, can men do it all? And I obviously there's certain things that's just not physically possible.
Physically, right. Right. No, yeah, go ahead.
And I do agree that through the years, as women started going into the workplace and helping manage home and family and everything, and I think to your point, Trish, yeah, like, you know, for women, we're like, we're the constant nurturers. That's just what we always been. So when we see, you know, the sickness coming or whatever have you, we are mother hens, you know, so, but we are like, okay, no big deal. Right.
Right.
And are like, oh my God, I'm like ready to like, you know, cross over or something, you know? So and again, I say that only to say, because again, I'm not judging.
Yeah.
Yeah. My husband, he has to sleep. That's just his thing. He sleeps. But I have to say, I've seen through the years, and let me tell you kind of like, I have seen through the years that things have changed in households. And I'll talk about dual households, right? And then there's obviously the other elements of women, you know, who are on their own. Right. But I have seen such a change in dual households where the man is a little more involved.
Yeah.
And this shows the evolution of just the changes that have come with women's rights, with the having to own, you know, being able to own your own home. I mean, that didn't come into play. I mean, that came into play back in the late 1800s. But, you know, as far as like working and Equal Pay Act and all these things that had to be passed, the Civil Rights amendments, you know, Title VII, which is the Civil Rights Act, prohibits employment discrimination. Right. And not just about women, but, you know, again, all these things had to happen for us to change and evolve, right? And that has also transcended into our homes with our husbands or with men to understand that, hey, we are equal. We do have elements that are different because that's just human nature. But there are things that as women that we had to still encounter, and we still to this day we encounter, but we need the support of the men as well, you know? And I think it'll be interesting to understand from our audience, to your point, Jane, can men do it all? And I guarantee you we'll have some men out there who'll be answering those questions as well.
Let me take a minute just to say you have people in the chat room, and you have Joan in the chat room who says, no, I don't think men do it all, but so can women. No, I don't think men do it all, but so can women. Very strong and powerful women from way back to now. And then Substance, and she's in the room, she says, where is this? I was reading something here. Bear with me 1 second. She says, that's why it's called Mother Earth. We are the masters of this universe. So that's from Substance.
Oh, nice. I like that.
I like that.
Have Martha Hunter in the room, and men cannot handle half of the things we endure. So you have quite a bit of people chatting in the room, and I'll pop in and out as I read the comments and questions and give you some questions that they're asking, okay?
Did we get any men to comment yet?
I haven't seen any men in the chat room yet. We got to get a couple men in here, but I haven't seen any of them yet. But I'm sure they're on watching. If they're not saying anything, we know they're watching.
So with that said, if there are any men watching, we'd like to understand your perspective on women and you feel you can do it all. So, you know, but what I say is to say men have evolved as well. They are doing things that naturally done and, you know, like take care of house and home, take care of their ailing parents. You know, I remember being in a household where my mother worked. You know, my dad taught us how to clean the house, literally on hands and knees, brush behind the toilet, all that stuff.
Okay.
Like, you know, and he was military back in the day. I mean, in Italy, because I'm Italian, by the way, if anybody didn't know. But, you know, I mean, he just came from like, you know, he taught us. And I think the biggest thing he taught us was independence. Even though he wasn't here when all these things were occurring, because he didn't get here till the 70s, to the early 70s. He had so many women in his life, and he had 4 daughters. And, you know, he said, I really never wanted boys. I wanted girls. And I kept asking, like, why would you want all girls? Like, he's bald now, just saying, because of the girls. But he wanted girls because I think he felt that, you know, he had all sisters. He has 1 brother. I believe that he felt that we needed to be independent individuals and to be strong. And I take a lot of that from my father as well as my mother. And my mother took care of household. She went to work. She came home, cooked and cleaned. We helped out. Like that was just the family environment we grew up in.
Right.
But at the same token, we also learned that, you know, again, our lives as women, and this kind of evolves to today, the pressures of society today, the pressures of work, and to some of us trying to get into our own businesses so we can evolve and actually have something of our own. What do you ladies think about, again, kind of where we were like maybe 10, because I feel like today we see a lot more women pushing to be independent in the sense of having their own and not so much looking for somebody else.
Yeah.
What do you think has changed? Like, what do you think has gotten women to say to themselves, you know what, I need to have my own? What do you think that you know, that process was?
Yep. I think in the last 10 years, women have been encouraged to have a voice by the men that they marry. Okay. You know, look, there's always going to be men out there that feel women should be put in their place. Let's face it. But I think the majority right now, and I'm happy to say, encourage their wives to have something of their own, be it a business, be it an hour to exercise, you know, whatever, to read, to do their own thing. And I think when you're encouraged by by men in your life, as well as strong women in your life, then you're able to not see that everything's possible, right? You see that everything's possible. When you have that groundwork, that foundation given to you, you build on it. And women have built on it in the last 10 years. I also think you've seen a lot of changes in the law. Stefania, you brought up the fact that, you know, the different Civil Rights Acts.
Yeah.
Women couldn't even have a credit card. They couldn't buy a home. They weren't allowed to own a car in their own name. Everything, the man had to have his name on everything. Women weren't even considered. You know, that has all evolved, and that's huge. That is huge. You see now women buying properties and being realtors and, you know, being powerful forces in those kinds of areas. And I think that men have encouraged women to take that next step. I do. I truly do.
I would agree with you. I do. Trish, tell me kind of your perspective on that. Like, as far as, women wanting to have more, because you have your own.
I think it goes back, and as I say, I'm not that old. However, I think it goes back to when the men was in the military and they had to go fight the war. The woman was left behind to raise the family. So by them being left behind, they learned to be independent and to start making things, quilting, trying to earn income, barter with each other. So that gave them that entrepreneur spirit.
Yeah.
And I think from there is when we started to evolve.
That's actually a good point, because it goes back to
great point.
Great point, because I think, again, you blend that into what Jane said, spicy, what Jade said about some of the rights and the voices that we needed to get to the point where now we take all those learnings from history and say, you know what, now we can own our own. We can own a home. We can drive our own vehicle. We can, raise a family, have a full-time job, and, oh, by the way, a business on the side. Like, these are things that I think are such a, you know what, I love being a woman only because we have taken such great strides in history to get to where we are today. Okay? And our voices are being heard more now than they've been previously, because used to be seen and not heard, right?
Exactly.
Now it's like we hear,
right? Barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen.
Barefoot and pregnant. And now we are seen and heard, right? Because I say we're making good trouble. I'm gonna say that we're making good trouble. Jane, where do you think? So let me ask, where do you think we still need to evolve? Because I and you can correct me if I'm wrong. From what I know, we still have an Equal Rights Act that has still yet to finalize or ratify, but we have one state left. I can't believe we're even here. I can't even believe we're even discussing in 2021.
Right.
Kind of tell me where you think we still have opportunity.
You mean where we still need to work on to have opportunities? I think that equal pay is a big one, I also think there are still men in politics that want to oppress us from being heard. I also think that, we need to encourage our younger women, our younger generation, to know they are worthy. They have worth. And I think if you start there with the younger generation and allow them to have a voice, they will move forward the movement of making sure that everyone is equal. I think that when, and I don't just mean young women, I also mean young men. Young men also need to be encouraged to know that women are equal. Children are not born thinking that I'm better than him or I'm better than her. They're taught that. That's right? That's taught. That is not born into you.
No.
You're taught that in the way that you're raised. So, or the things that you see, the exposure that you have, right? So I think to move forward, we have to teach younger people, the young folks, that, there are inequalities in our society that need to be addressed. And they are the future of fixing that, of equaling that out. I truly believe that.
You know what, you said, you're right. It's being taught, and I think you're right in the sense that our children, they see what we do, they hear what we say, and we have to really be careful how we address, their growth and development, because as young girls, they're seeing what their mother goes through, right? As young men, they're also seeing what their mother goes through. So they learn from what they see, and that becomes a habit or a, kind of what they bring into their life, and the relationships they build. And as long as you are a support mechanism for both and teach them that we are all equals, as humans, and again, it goes back to like women weren't even thought of like as people way back in the day. I'm still baffled about that too. But I'm telling you, I'm learning so much. It's incredible. And I went back and researched, and I'm like, what? I don't understand.
Yes.
But you're right. As I think for everyone who is listening, it is so important to encourage your children to understand that there is equality, men and women. And we all are, of course, when we work together.
Yes.
We have to respect one another. And yes, there are strong women, strong personalities. They built up this country as well, because the children that came into this country were built because of the women who bore those children, right? And it evolved, and we started seeing things that we needed to change because we wanted a greater voice in society. So I think it's important, again, for us to really build that confidence in women as young girls to say, you have a voice, and yes, you can speak up. And yes, you are important, okay? And what you want out of life, you can have towards that. And dreams can happen if you work and set goals. And you can be anything you want to be. Heck, ladies, we got a VP that's a woman now.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Feelings being broken, they're being broken now. Like they have been.
Yes.
But we can climb and climb and climb. But to Jane's point, we still have a long way to go. We really do. So Trish, what are your thoughts about, like, kind of, you have children, so give me your perspective.
And it's funny you would say that about the vice president, because when Hillary Clinton was running, I say the reason why she wasn't chosen was because many could not, and I'm talking about the male gender, could not have the concept of a female running the country, because they truly believe, even in the workplace, that a female cannot lead because they're too emotional. Like our emotions, yes, they play a part. However, men have emotions too, as much as they don't want to admit it.
I agree.
My children, I let them see anything and everything you want is within your grasp.
Yes.
As long as you have the right mentors and have a path on which you should be going to get there, it's achievable. Don't let no one tell you you can't, because in my house, the word can't does not exist. That word is not part of our vocabulary. Don't let people speak down to you and take you off of the path you want to go on. And this is for everybody, no matter how old you are. We have a female, I believe she's 96 and she's a bodybuilder, or 86.
Oh, I saw that. Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
I mean, so I applaud one of my unsung heroes is Tiffany Kofer, because of what she does. She makes sure we're drinking our water, we're on our health, we're getting physically fit, starting from clean eating. So Tiff, thank you. Thank you. And for the sister,
you're welcome, Trish.
We are all sisters.
But I want to say,
we are all sisters.
Right.
We're all sisters, and that's what the sisters.
Where we go?
We have
Miss Ste'FIRE. So we have a journey. However, as long as we stay together, we can get there together.
You know what?
Yeah.
Lead into a conversation.
You know, reach back and one.
Yep. No, I agree. We're a force to be reckoned with. I've said this in conversations I've had with women in general. We are a force to be reckoned with if we work together. We cannot work divided. And that is what actually hinders us from progress when we're working against one another versus working with one another. Now I say this to say not everybody has the same views, or, as far as rights are concerned, or, and that's fine. I won't get into the political climate, because I think everybody has a right to their own opinion and their own, how they want to live their lives, right? But at the same token, we must all still continue to support one another, because again, if we work, and we obviously have shown through history, a force of women together has gotten us to where we are today. And if we continue that, we will continue to grow and progress in the future. And this is going to be who we're leaving as legacies in our lives, right? Tiffany, go ahead.
What I want to say to that is, that's so true. We know how to do it individually.
Yeah.
But now we need to learn how to do it together, because 9 times out of 10, we have learned as women not to trust each other.
Yeah.
And we, I don't have no friends. I don't have no friends because we don't want to trust each other. So we know how to get what we need alone. Now it's time for us to combine together and work together to show that we are a powerful force when we come together. That's why works phenomenally, because we might not speak to each other until the end of the week, or maybe once out of the week. People think we speak to each other every day, and we don't. But we know what our topics are and what we're going to do. And then when we come together on Sunday, it's like, boom, okay, we're here, and we know what we have to do, because we all have our own businesses. Right. We are all striving for different goals, and then a goal that we have together. And I think part of the sistership, and why we brought the sistership together, is to show that, women can work together. And a lot of people are going, how long before that falls apart? Because it's women. But we're here to show that, no, it's a powerful force when we do stick together, and we can have our own businesses and then come together to build something else to make it even bigger. Yeah. So that's why we came into the sistership and said, okay, well, we're going to do this. And it's been a challenge. We've switched lanes, switched people, but again, you have to find out what the tribe is, who you can work with. And it's not to say that our views aren't going to be different, because we all have different views on certain things, but we hash it out. And if there's something that I may do that Stefania doesn't like, she pulls my coat on it. Or Jane, we call her Queen Age Wizard Spicy, because that's spicy. I said, oh, y'all know spicy. She tells it like it is, and we all together. But I think it all works because it's bringing it back to the village, basically. So we have our Queen Agers, right? And then we have us, and then we have our children that we are trying to, that we are raising. But we brought it back to the village, where we're listening to the Queen Agers that were before us, and we're taking the advice that they're giving us, and we're moving forward in what we're doing. That's helping other people, and then collectively helping other women to see that, oh, wait a minute, we can do it. So that's what we're here to do. And it's Women's Month, not that we want to take away from our men, because we do need them, but today it's Women's Month, so we're gonna gloat on women.
We're gonna gloat, and we should. Mm-hmm. And Tiffany Co., I want to thank you, because without you and Mama C, I wouldn't even be here. You know what I'm saying? So I have to say that I feel blessed, because you know what, you ladies saw something, obviously, and it gave me also a voice. And I appreciate you, because it is about really working together, and we can have difference of opinions if we're respectful about it. And that's the other piece. So, we talk about emotions, right? Trish talked about it. We're always viewed as very emotional creatures. Well, we are. Let's get real. We're emotional creatures.
We are.
I have no poker face. Whatever I feel is on my face. Just saying, sorry, it is what it is. I'm just who I am. But at the same token,
I'm right there with you.
It's like I'm right there with you. But at the same token, this has an impact to how we evolve also in the workplace and become CEOs of our careers. And I think it's okay to not agree with people. It's okay to have difference of opinions. It's okay to show, small pieces of our emotion, because people need to understand that we're serious when we're talking. Like when we're serious about something, people need to understand we're serious. But at the same token, we have to be very careful as well, because we get always that she's too emotional. And you're right. I said the same thing. Too emotional. We don't want to put her in a leadership position because she's a woman. She's got emotions going all left and right, whatever have you. And you know what? We have to be better than that in those cases.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So we do have opportunity within ourselves because that's just who we are. But that doesn't mean that we don't grow. That doesn't mean we don't start thinking about how we maneuver differently in the workplaces. And what's interesting is I read something that only 5% of women in Fortune 500 companies are CEOs. 5%. What does that tell you? What does that tell you?
Well, think about it this way. I just listened to an interview from the first 5-star general that was a woman. The first and only one. How old is the military?
Oh my God.
Think about that. I remember listening to an interview with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who said that she was asked, she said, when will you be satisfied? How many women on the Supreme Court will you be satisfied with? And she said, when all the seats are filled with women.
Wow.
That's what she said.
Wow.
And when you think about that, she was right, because, we're due, right? I mean, we are due. And every woman who is in this group brings something different to this table. And we need to embrace everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because you're right, Stefania, we are different. We are going to have differences of opinion. And if we execute that in a good, positive way, we're not only going to learn, but the other person is going to learn as well. I mean, isn't that what life is about? Teaching each other how to live in a very peaceful environment, right? We want to be, trying to think what the word my father-in-law used to use. I forgive me, it escapes me, but in harmony. We want to live in harmony, but we all have the right to have our own opinion, and we all have the right to be respected because of that.
And be respectful.
Respectful. Exactly.
People say, I could say what I want to say. Yeah, you have the right to say what you want to say. I'm not saying you don't, but understand that you should be respectful. And
and then when
consequences of how right.
When there's pushback, they get all up in arms. Oh, you're being disrespectful. No, you say things, you're going to get pushback. Let's face it. You're going to get it. The thing is how you deliver it. It's all in the delivery, man. I've learned that throughout the years, big time.
So I want to come back to having all women in the seats, because I'm going to challenge that thought process, and I want your opinion, you and Trish, on that. Because the question is always going to be about how far do we go, right? So I think it's a good one to come back to. We have some unsung heroes, right, that we want to talk about. So what I want to do is, Trish, I know you have an unsung hero. I don't want to escape from, we said we were talking about unsung heroes as well. We know we want to talk about our experiences, great, but we also want to hear about our unsung heroes and why we chose the people that we chose. And then I'll read from whoever sent me their submissions as well. But I think it's important that we really talk about our unsung heroes. So going back to the unsung heroes, Trish, I'm going to start with you. Because I think it's important to talk about who was your unsung hero.
My unsung hero name is Barbara Womack. Barbara Womack is my mother. I chose her because growing up, I was able to see her do things that kind of blew my mind away. Okay. Yes, she was my mother. She was a single mother. Okay. My dad did what he did. Okay. And my mother wasn't having it. Okay. So she raised me and my siblings. We watched her go to work. We watched her go to school to earn her CPA. We watched her sew her clothes, made sure we had dinner on the table, and taught us about health and exercise. We used to have challenges from being a kid up until, I'm gonna say an adult, but 19, she would challenge us in exercise. She taught us how to play spades, card games. And from the age of 2 years old, I remember her sitting on the floor in our hallway, playing with us as we had to jump over her, and she would try to grab us. So it was building our leg strength up.
Oh, wow.
You know, and to watch her and my aunts, they would travel. So she taught us, my mother drove, she had her own car. So I would be in the back of her acting like I'm driving. So she taught us to get our driver's license. She taught us to make sure we have a passport so we're never limited on where we need to be or where we need to go. She taught us how to cook, how to clean. She taught us about owning property and investments. To this day, I speak about investments with my mother, you know. And it was funny because when I had my kids and then I had my grandkids, and she'd be like, okay, well, I'm giving y'all such and such. I'm like, no, mommy. You don't have to give me no more because I got kids and I got grandbaby. She's like, oh no, don't worry about it. It's in my budget. Lady, like, you got over 10 grandchildren and great-grands. Where do you get all this money from? So
hey, I got 11 nieces and nephews and I'm broke. Just saying.
So learning how to do hair is because I watched my mother do our hair, and then she taught me to do my sister hair. So she would do mine, I would do my sister's. So it was a line. So I would never have to be broke because you learned a skill. You learned a trade. So to this day, I'm ever so thankful for my mother, ever so thankful. And my grandmother, her mother, taught us, I should say, you never have to ask anyone for anything or let anyone think they have anything over your head, as long as you're able to earn your own. So
good advice. Good advice.
That is, that's exactly what we were talking about as far as what we instill in our children, right? And that was an example of your mother taking that, instilling that in you, and you instilling it in your, and again, generational, right? I mean, it just continues to progress from there. And oh my God, you brought a couple things that's so familiar with me that I can identify with. But we'll continue to talk about unsung heroes, because I have to ask you, Trish, like, do you feel that, and of course you're going to tell me yes, because, you learn from your mother. You are a product of what she instilled in you, right? Do you feel it would have been different? And just correct me if I'm wrong. So your mom, was she a single mother or your father was still in the picture?
She was a single mother. Okay. My dad wanted us to all move down, but she was like, no, they need to finish their education up north, and then they could go south. Okay, got it.
So let me ask you, because there's a difference, I feel, and I could be wrong, is there a difference? Let me ask the question. Do you feel there's a difference between a single mother, one person household versus having the father and mother in the household? How does that change your mindset from a woman perspective? Because I came from a dual household. You know what I'm saying? Do you think that there's a difference there in how you evolve as a woman, or the strength or the courage or whatever have you that comes in from being a single mother versus being with a dual house?
Yes, that I can't say. Ooh, it's kind of twofold there, because my grandfather and my grandmother was in the one house, and we were at their house growing up as well. So we would go there after school, or my mother would drop us off there in the morning, and then she'll come back and pick us up when she got home from work. So we always had that unit to look up to, you know. But I guess as that, like, I mean, my home is a 2-parent home. Okay. So the kids have an opportunity to play one against the other. If one says no, they go to the other one and say yes. So that's the difference. When you have one parent household, you can't go to nobody and ask for something.
That's true.
When you've been told no already.
That's true.
You know, and I'm just as strict, if not stricter, than my husband is. You know, so they say the men is the authority, the discipline, but my children, they know mommy.
Yeah.
Mommy ain't gonna play. Our grades better not even take a dip, because we don't want to hear it from her mouth.
Right. Yeah.
So I can't get a big difference. I can't.
I think when
it's just more of a struggle.
Right. And the strength, I think what I'm getting at is the strength of having to have the burden of being both in a setting. You know what I'm saying? Like your children watching you, you know, grow up, and like, you know, and you're just, again, a 1-parent household, but you don't have that help, right? So it's like, they notice the strength of their mother coming out, having to be both parents, right? Whereas you have a 2-parent house, whether the man is actually active in the 2-parent household, because we could talk about that. You know, they have that so they have the ability to work off each other and share some of that burden, right? And but again, if you're in a 1-person and mom, it's just mom, you got a lot more to focus on, to work, to take care of your kids, to clean, to eat, you know, like everything that you got going on. I feel that children look at that and they're like, man, my mom really is a strong woman. Not saying that anybody else who's in a 2-parent household isn't, but the strength that you had to overcome and had to look at things from both perspectives, I mean, that's phenomenal. And this goes back to like the question about, can men do what women do? Can men do what women do? It kind of brings us back to that, you know?
Yeah. You know, I grew up in a 2-parent household, and there was a lot of drama, and which created a lot of trauma for myself and my brothers. My father was not a good guy. Okay. So, I wish my mother had left him. You know, I wish we hadn't lived in an abusive home. So there's that. But my mother wouldn't leave him because we were Catholic, and if she divorced him and died, her soul would go to limbo. You know, that was the belief. So she stayed in an abusive home with him, along with 4 children. And we, unfortunately, you know, some of us still carry that trauma with us.
Yeah.
So, you know, getting back to the point of a 2-family versus a 1-family, well, how constructive is it? Exactly. You know, is it a constructive household? Is it a progressive household? Is it a loving household? Mine, not so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so, you know, are you better off with 1 parent that is all of those things, or 1 parent living in a 2-parent household that is, you know, it's destructive. It's it doesn't function well.
And
You
I
know?
I
So there's that.
absolutely agree with you, and that's exactly why I say, like, you know, you might have a two-parent household, but is that male figure really there? And are we still
Right.
taking out all of the burden, right? Because
Yeah.
that's the strength that we have to overcome some of these obstacles, even with households that are two parents, and you know, we're going through emotional traumas or physical or whatever have you, and or they're just, you know, saying, hey, the woman does everything, so go have at it, right?
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
but you know, I wanted to kind of go back to Unsung Heroes, because Jane, for you, you know, again, you have so much wisdom, you know, one of our queenagers. I'd love to know who your unsung hero is.
Okay, so I thought a lot about this, and I knew I was supposed to send it into you, and
That's okay.
you know, I thought I have so many positive women in my life, but I chose a group.
Okay.
Okay, I want to read you what I wrote if I can.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so here's what I wrote. The women that have become, the women that have empowered me and which I'm not a fan of that word, but have encouraged me to be the woman I am today, that I've sat back and watched them, are the women that I have sheltered, the women that I have helped through horrible domestic violence and sexual assault situations. Those women have encouraged me to be the best person I am. But it's not just them. It is the women at Women's Resources that work there. Mm-hmm. And this is what I wrote. The women that have become empowered to leave a dysfunctional relationship, which are the women that I counsel. These are the women, the heroes in their own right. So they are heroes in their own right. They chose to take a path alone of getting out of an abusive relationship, okay? But it's the women at this resource center. They are worth $1 million. They are paid a minimal wage, but they give an unconditional amount of time and love and passion into helping and heal the broken hearts of these other women. And they do it with passion, and they do it with love. It is something that drives them to make these other women better. And I've seen so many broken women, and I've seen these ladies swoop in and become the life preserver of these other ladies. So my heroes to me are the women who work at Women's Resources, that provide this shelter and these counseling sessions to make women become functional human beings. But the one person that I want to say in my life that I watch every day become better is my daughter-in-law, June.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to cry because she not only served in the military, she became 100% disabled because of it, but she functions through it. She loves my son. And here's what I say. How can you not love someone who loves your child? Comes in the middle of their life and loves them. And jokingly, I always say to my daughter-in-laws, no backsies. You can't return them. Not allowed. You marry them, you keep them. Okay? But on a serious note, I truly admire her, and she is a hero to me because she has traveled the world. She has seen so many things, good and bad, and yet she chose to love my son, to build a home, to have a family, and I just can't praise her enough for those things. So that's my hero.
June, we love you too. We love you too.
Yeah,
you love the women of the
she's
women.
Incredible.
Yeah, she's incredible. Absolutely. She's such a jewel. I'll say that because I'm a bling girl, but she's such a jewel. She is definitely.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, because she is an amazing person and great pick. And I agree with the women's resources. You know, it's interesting because sometimes we are so, you know, we might be going through some things and we don't realize that we could be helping others from things that we potentially overcame. And when we share our stories and when we are willing to open up and help others to also get through the pain and through what's going on, the traumas that are going on in their lives, you know, we are helping others as well as helping ourselves. And it's you know, and that is so gratifying. And I think we need to continue to do that. That's why I say women together, we are such a strong unit when we stick together and help one another. Because we do need our sisters to kind of help us get through things sometimes. Because, you know, again, we say, you know, you don't understand, you know, you know, whether it's my husband or whatever, you know, there's something different about us. It's the uniqueness of us as women that we have.
And we have to share. You know, we have to share those experiences. If we don't share the experience and, you know, what the downfalls are, what the positive side is, you know, you need to pass that torch on. And that's what I like to think that we do. You know, we pass that torch on of all of those experiences, you know, to the younger generation, to the younger groups, so that they can be better, so that they can encourage each other. I've seen some women be really ugly toward other women, and it's not a good thing. You know, we could be our worst enemies or our best advocates. We make the choice.
Absolutely.
Right? We make the choice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let me ask you, and I want to get to Tiffany because I want her to give me her unsung hero, but I want to ask you, Trish, do you feel that, and, you know, Jane brought up about, you know, sometimes we hurt one another where, you know, we can be very, and, you know, it's been said, we can be catty, we can be this, we can be that, and, you know, not very nice to one another, whatever have you. We have to really already deal with that within our own as women, you know, let alone outside, right? You know, because men are viewing this and saying,
right,
you know, that cattiness and all that stuff. What do you think is actually drives that in women to not be supportive, but kind of be in a position of pushing back or negativity or things of that nature? What do you think? Where do you think that comes from?
Their upbringing.
Yeah.
I think it's part of their environment. I think it's how or what they seen growing up. Because if you're on a playground playing in a sandbox and this little girl over here, and I'm saying a little girl because we're talking about females right now, don't want to play with you, or they try to exclude you from the group. Why? What is it about you that's intimidating to them? Or if you're the one treating somebody like that, what makes you think that you're superior? Because we're all the same.
Yeah.
It's a complex. It's a complex that we go through growing up. I can't relate to it. I honestly, I can't. I try to teach my children to be friendly to everyone. However, if your spirit tells you differently, back up.
Right.
Listen to your gut. And if your gut is saying this person is not good for you, then by all means, you could associate, hello, goodbye, but do not be in a mix with them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to perpetuate that negative vibe, as I want to say, or, you know, continue that. We need to be working together. So, but I agree with you in a sense that as children, we learn to work with one another or segregate ourselves from individuals due to many different things. We know as we've grown up as little girls, You know, I don't like her because, you know, she's wearing glasses, or I don't like her because of this or that, whatever have you. But as parents, as educators, and things of that nature. And I laughed because I just realized you had glasses on, and I was like, everybody's
if I don't have glasses on, I can't see you, girl. So just say it.
On my head. But I, you know, again, I remember growing up and how vicious children can be. And you're right, it comes from the household as well, and you know what they see and learn. And it's like we have to be better than that, and again, help our children to understand that we are all equals. We just have a little bit of different, just a tiny little bit of difference in each of us, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to be different. It's not okay to
and that's what makes differences.
So I want to go to Tiffany Bling, our girl who stays behind the scenes, our one and only of the sistership of you know, let me tell you, when I met Tiffany, and we haven't even seen each other physically other than Zoom, right, Tiff? We haven't even really met face to face yet.
We have not.
Zoom is our new age of seeing each other. I'm telling you, once we get out of this, I got to give her a big hug and kiss, because honey, I'm telling you, she's taught me so much, and we vibe off each other a lot. We don't sleep. Neither one of us sleep. I'm just going to say that.
And I'm not going to be on keto when I meet you, because I want to eat, because you be throwing back. Not see me on keto. This is the disclaimer. So when I go to her house, I'm getting down.
One thing I have to say is women can burn in some women, or not all. Some women can burn in the kitchen, and you know what? Some men can burn in the kitchen too. Just saying. My husband can burn in the kitchen. Just saying. And I don't mean burning like, you know, burning. I mean like really. So for those of you,
he can throw down. He can throw down.
Exactly, they can throw down.
Yeah.
But Tiffany, I have to say, like and initially when Tiffany and I started conversing, you know, I was kind of like, we're trying to fill each other out, right? And you know, Mama C I love Mama C. I've known her from, you know, at least the last year or so through events that I've done. And you know, the personality, the spirit that I have been able to gravitate to, you know, and it's like, oh my God, I was like, I love these women. Like I really do. Like in my spirit, I feel that there's a tribe here that I don't know what God led me this way for a reason. And Tiffany, I have to thank you, because if it wasn't, again, for Mama C, obviously to kind of say, hey, you know, Tiffany, I mean, I thank you. I mean, to a certain degree, I have to say you're one of the unsung heroes, because, and I have to agree with, I think, Trish and Jane. I mean, you are helping us as well, as much as you think we're helping you. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel that you have, you know, educated me in some areas that I, again, being new to this, and I see you with your, you know, I hear about, you know, your children and how you manage through that, and a little bit of your history. And I'm like, you know what? She's a strong woman, and I love that about you. And you have that delicate side and that warm heart and things of that nature. And that really resonates with me. So, and you know, we are no nonsense as well. We are.
We are.
We are no nonsense as well.
I think everybody here is no nonsense. I think that's why it meshes together. So
click. But you know, I want to hear about your unsung hero, because that's going to help us to understand where Tiffany is as far as her unsung hero and how it's made an impact on your life, how this person's made an impact on your life.
I have so many unsung heroes.
I know
so
you do.
I'm gonna break it down like this. The four of you, and even Tiff Rowe is in the chat room, and she said,
Tiff Rowe, one of our unsung ladies.
She said that she sees unsung out of all four of us right here. So that is one, that's one of the major ones for me, that we're all working together as a cohesive body to bring this alive.
Yeah.
Another one would be my mom, which is Mama C, which we all know. But what I'm not going to do today is we always talk about our moms and we talk about the people. I want to honor somebody who is always in the village or has always been in the tribe or around me as a child, who helped to raise me. So I always say that there were strong women that were always around me at some point in time. And they say, children, they don't listen to what you do with it, they do what you see. So because I was around so many different people, this is what I took on, and this is what I know, because I've grown up in that culture, in the environment where there were just strong women around me. So the person that was my unsung hero today, her name is Dory Michael. And that is one of my mother's closest friends. And I believe that they also went to high school together. And they have been childhood friends and all the way through. There's so much history there with her. But I remember as a child, to me, she was an entrepreneur. So I looked at that. You know, it was called DJ's Boutique, and it was in the Bronx, and she would dress my mother up like a doll baby, and we would have all these, fashion shows, and, she kept everybody in order, their clothes, everything was in order. So I always watched her, and then I got some of my clothes from her. Back then, the clothes that she was selling, because I hadn't matured yet, they were a little bit too much for me. I was, give me the little Pele and the little 5411s, and I was good. I was in the street. I was those kids, right? But I used to always watch them together because they used to do events together. They used to drag me to the events. They used to put me in the fashion show. So, okay, I'm like, all right, what am I wearing? But I'm following them because, this is who raised me. So I was in a couple of her fashion shows, and I'm like, okay. But I was always, I honored her because I watched all of that. That helped me to grow and do what I'm doing and to become an entrepreneur, or always, have a skill that if a job is taken away from me today or tomorrow, I can survive because I have a skill. So I always tell my kids and my children, even though, go to college, do whatever, but what trade do you want to have? So that if a job tells you tomorrow, bye-bye, can you survive? Now you may not, because when I was working and managing hotels, the Grand Hyatt, the Sheraton Plaza, my boss lived in Texas. I was making over $80,000 a year. I was good, convertible, everything. And then 9/11 hit, and it was like, boom, severance pay, knocked off by Square. And back to not making as much money as I was making before. And we went through a lot. We went through struggle. Struggle that I did not, I guess I want to say, when I was young, I really didn't have to deal with that struggle because my mother provided for me, and watching everybody around me, they just made sure that I had, and I was like the little spoiled, they were like the little spoiled kid that ran around North General Hospital. But I also learned from that experience because I've been working since I was 14 years old. So there were no nonsense. So I was gonna sit on my behind. I had to move it, and I had to do what you do at that time. So now a lot of people say, oh, she's too strong, but I'm not. It's who you were raised by. And Dory was one that I watched as an entrepreneur. I remember when she was in the Bronx and she closed down. She said, you know what? She told my mother, I'm going to close down DJ's Boutique and I'm going on the road. So on the road, because I would always go in there and to her shop and go look at the clothes when my mother would go in there, and she would dress my mother and have these outfits out for my mother that my mother would have like a week's worth of clothes for wherever she went. But she was like her fashionista, or she styled her. So all of everybody's clothes from North General Hospital, from everywhere, they came from DJ's Boutique because they would watch my mother and what she had on. And now back then, my mother was 300 pounds. To me, I never saw it, and people never saw it because my mother never wore 300 pounds like I'm gonna say like a fat girl. Be confident in your weight or whatever you're doing to carry it. If you carry 300 pounds like you're not confident, it shows. But she never carried that weight of 300 pounds back then, and she was still dressed to T by Dory Michael's. So when she decided to close down her boutique and take it on the road, she was doing little pop-up shops, you know, on 125th Street, 135th Street, the Harlem Week, wherever there was a show, she was on the road. And she still does that today. She's actually, she probably doesn't even know I'm on here talking about her. She'll hear it later.
She'll be coming on.
Yeah, she'll be coming on. So she would do all these little pop-up shows. So now she has a little, she still runs it outside. It's on 135th and Lenox Avenue, where I grew up in Lenox Terrace and Building 40. And again, I grew up around a lot of influential, positive people. This is what I learned. This is what I knew. So I guess there was no other choice but to do what I knew. Yeah. So I honor her, and I honor the village and the people around me just because of how I was brought up. So the sistership kind of makes me teary, because I see women that are working together, and it's not, you know, a lot of people say, oh, how long is it going to last? Because, you know, they can't work together. But we've also proven, and it's going on over a year, that it can be done if we just stay, and it's time for change. And the time for change is now. So if we can stay with it and show people that, listen, you know, we have our own businesses and we're doing, you know, A through Z, but we can also come together as a collective body to make it work and be stronger as a team. And for Ste'FIRE, you know, I have to say, and again, I think I might have saw her like once when they did an event up here. They did an event, but I didn't stay. I never really stayed for any of the events. And then my mother would say, "Oh, Ste'FIRE, we got to get Ste'FIRE." And this is before. Now we done renamed.
That was before Ste'FIRE.
We done renamed her too. Okay, so her AKA is Ste'FIRE. So I'm like, okay, but we really met with how we met. We were doing the Christmas event. Jane, Trish, we were all doing the Christmas event, and she popped in my inbox and she would say, "Hey, do you know, you need some help?" So she was wondering why I would never put it out there as to, okay, you know, hey, donate money, because you know we did something called an Everybody Eats project where we were donating food and we were going on the road. She know that we did that. So she was wondering why for this project we didn't put a donation, you know, hey, we need a donation. And my thing was, we didn't want to do that, because if it moved you or you felt that you wanted to help and make a difference in someone's life or in a child's life, you would automatically say, hey, how can I help? And that's what happened with her. Like, she popped in, okay, you need this. And then we were going to only do, I think, 20 children, and ended up with like 44. So at the end of it, it was like, okay, oh crap, how am I going to do? How do we do this? Because we now got it. We can't tell these children that we don't want to tell them we can't give them gifts, but it was because of her behind the scenes and nobody even really knew. She had like people, she got people that were sending gifts to us, and I was wrapping them and we were putting it together so that the kids could have gifts. So it was like, wow, this is an angel right here that was sent. Cause I'm like, huh? Mm-hmm. You know, like, you know, you never, and then we just kind of bonded from there, and then it went from there. And in the midst of everything else that we were going through at the time, it was still someone there saying, okay, I believe in this, let's do it. So just having, you know, those type of people in my life, Dory Michael, who is my unsung hero for today. Dory, I know you'll hear this later, but watching them as entrepreneurs and strong Black sisters, just going through life, just, you know, whatever it took to get to the other end is what they did. So that's how I kind of live my life. Whatever it takes to get to the other end is what I have to do. And that doesn't mean you're not going to have challenges. You do. You're going to have those challenges, but you got to figure it out, and you can't give up. And then it's also on the times when I want to give up, none of y'all will let me give up. You're like, oh no. Go to sleep, sister. Go to sleep, sister. Get back up, let's go. You know, and it's Tiffany Rowe, it's Spicy, it's Trish. You know, I think we all keep each other going to say, okay, we could do this just a little bit longer, or a little bit more. We can do this till we get to wherever we're supposed to go. And that's just right. That's how it's been. So I want to say, I can't, you know, Dory Michael is the one that I picked, but it's a body of women, a village that has helped me to grow to where I'm at now. You know, even from this point, when we walked off of, you know, I'm a manager for a dental office up here. And when I walked off of that door, I said, oh, I can't do this again. When COVID hit, and I said, oh my God, am I going to go into this financial thing again? And of course, yes, it's been a struggle for us because it hit us again. So I'm not working, I'm doing whatever. But I said, no, we got to figure this out. We got to figure out something that we're doing. And then boom, we turned into what we turned into now. So now this is also a lesson for me as well, because in the beginning, Ste'FIRE said, and Trish said, the word I can't does not exist. So this, what we're doing now has taught me that the word I can't does not exist, because I can't even tell people. Some people will inbox me or they look at me on Facebook and go, oh, she got money. Okay, yeah. We all maneuver through to do what we got to do to make it happen. Okay? And to make ends meet and to make, I didn't do that Christmas event by myself. It was a bunch of people with us, a bunch of women. There was the ladies at EED, one of my longtime girlfriends. We did this together because let me tell you something. We're just as we're hit as hard as anybody else when it comes to financially right now because of COVID not working. I haven't worked in over a year, so I'm on. You know, I have things going on, but I still have. I'm on unemployment like everybody else is. But still moving forward to say, okay, we can't do it. And the sistership just showed us that you can do it. And if you believe and you have a tribe that wants to do it, you can move forward. And then there was another thing where we had this, well, I'm not doing that because I'm not being paid. Well, some things are not about money.
Yeah.
And until we realize that everything is not about money, you're going to be stuck. Okay? Because eventually, the money or whatever, if you, we got to get back to trusting each other. That's the problem. We don't trust each other. So we always look at the negative or what's behind it or what's the motive. And we shoot ourselves in the foot at the end because you're thinking the motive is wrong. So you never join what you're supposed to be in because you think the motive is wrong.
Well, that Tiffany, so that leads us, and I think that's another topic that we definitely need to get into because that is really what's going to stop progress, right? And I talked about that earlier. That's a topic that we really need. We need to understand all the elements underneath us to really progress forward, right? Because how are we going to heal and be one body if we don't start healing within ourselves, right? And work together. So I love that you actually brought that out because I think that's a topic that we need to be, you know, talking about and understand from each perspective, what is it that's driving us to feel the way we feel sometimes where we don't, where we have this either an expectation or, you know, we don't want to do certain things because of a trust factor or whatever the case may be. So excuse the light, like the sun just literally hit me. Like I'm trying to hold this right here in place. I'm glad we got like 10 minutes because I'll be 10 minutes older this. But you know, I think that's a great topic because for women, we need to support one another. We need to understand the pains that we've gone through with each other so that we can evolve and we can get through that. And we can really understand each other's perspective because I feel that when people have this negativity or this spirit that's, you know, we call the ugly spirit, it's because something has happened to them that has made them who they are. And it's again, it may not even, it's not their fault per se, but the question is, how do you overcome that so that you don't bring that into your circle and we can move forward and evolve from there.
Or
so I agree with you, Tiffany. Look, I'm writing it down because, you know, we got to talk about that, just saying. But
yes.
It's full. And we're working on, I think we're working on May now.
We're working on May, honey. We are like booking up like crazy. So, which is great. I mean, it's awesome because there's so many subjects that we want to touch upon. And, but I want to talk about, so I have an unsung hero, but I'm going to say that this is my husband and I, because I love my mother to death. Don't get me wrong. Like, she is definitely one of my unsung heroes, especially as a child, because I've seen her work, clean house, you know, fix the table, you know, cook dinner, like all the things, and, you know, kind of raise 4 girls, which was not easy at all. And she'd been through hell and back with my sisters and I, just saying. I'll get into that some other time. But, you know, and she always taught us to be strong women, strong, independent women. And that's what I love about her, is that, you know, she said, don't make mistakes that others have made, maybe even things that she felt she made. But she always taught us to fend for self and never expect anything from anybody else. Because if we can't do it for ourselves, don't think somebody else is going to do it for you. And that goes with even, you know, marrying and having a husband. Like, you know, yes, but you got to make sure you can take care of you first and foremost. Right. You know, so again, my mom is always going to be my unsung hero because of that. But, you know, I kept thinking about this, and I always go back to my mother-in-law, and I'll read to you what my husband and I kind of were talking about. And I'm going to try to piece it as best I can. So my mother-in-law, Dolores Johnson, I'll bring that to the table here. Dolores Johnson, I love you, Mama J. That's my Mama J. That's my Mama J. She has always treated me like a daughter, always. There was never a, never negativity. She's the sweetest soul you'll ever meet. She is energetic. She is beautiful. She is kind. Her heart is bigger than anything in the world. And it's a blessing to have a mother-in-law, because there's always these jokes about these, you know, in-laws and how you get along with people, right? But I have to say, she's an only child as well, but she always had cousins and, you know, family around her all her life, and very good friends. But I love her to death because she inspires me as an adult. She does inspire me. And I'll give you a little history on her. She's in her 80s, just so you know kind of how far back we're going. She was married to my father-in-law, God rest his soul, for over 59 years. Or together 59 years. She followed him to North Carolina for him to pursue his college education at Winston-Salem University. Now, at a time where the North was not exposed to segregation in the South. Okay, so she didn't experience that, right? But making a move of this magnitude and adjusting to a different social construct required navigating in a different way for her, obviously, right? Because now she's down in Winston-Salem. Now she has to navigate differently because she didn't experience that segregation that we had in the South. Now she's there. Her first job was in a manufacturing company in Winston-Salem, and which they were mostly segregated at that point in time. She actually made her mark in that organization and was one of the first people of color that integrated the offices of that company. That shows you the mark she made, and that's just early on. She was also chosen as the first African-American to represent company in a local event in the community. Struck by the regressive environment of the South, Dolores also got involved in the community and supported the Greensboro sit-ins at Woolworths.
Oh, wow.
Do you all remember Woolworths? Yes.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I used to work for Woolworths.
There you go. So yeah. Another queenager. Yeah. There was a lot of non-violent protests in Greensboro, which led to the Woolworth department store chain removing its policy of racial segregation in Southern US. So think about like the history. And I was like, wow, I'm like, you actually were part of that, part of that. And, once Papa J, I'll call him Papa J, graduated, she attended Drake School of Business, completed her course in studies. When she entered the workforce, she worked at a number of companies, and again, was very involved in the community development, U.S. coordinator for the annual youth games in the 70s. She also secured a position of executive secretary for the mayor, Kenneth A. Gibson, who was the first African-American mayor of New Jersey's largest city. And, you know, she was the gatekeeper. Wow. You know, she was always around political figures. She integrated that into her life to help others. So when we talk about the sistership, she was like a community activist. She helped people. They called on her in her own community, and she still lives in Newark. Everybody knows her name, and everybody knows her because of the love and support she has given her city and her community. And it still to this day resonates with people. And to have a spirit like that in your life, who helps you through everything and would take the shirt off her back, make phone calls to make sure that you have an opportunity because of the contacts she might have still. That is a woman that I have to call an unsung hero, because there is, and I'm probably not even doing her justice, because I can talk about her forever. But, you know, I have to say that she is definitely who I call an unsung hero. Those are the people that you don't see that are making a difference in our communities, that are empowering or women, and just children, you know, educating. Like she is, but you know what? She does it in love. That's what we miss.
Yeah.
She does it in love from her heart. And that's where I think we as women have to do things out of love, right? And we have to teach others that we may go through situations in life, but we have to heal. We have to heal others as well. And we need to come together as women and support one another, because our journey is not over by a long shot. We still don't have, we still have a lot to go. We're still not equal pay. We're still not, you know, granted, I'm seeing more women owning businesses, which I love. I love that. We're evolving. We are starting to, especially during the time of COVID, people are like, I need to have my own because I need to survive, right? I need to survive. COVID taught me that, you know what, tomorrow I could be without a job. And a lot of companies are cutting heads and, you know, trying to streamline and reduce headcount. And, you know, they have targets, productivity targets. I'm going to say this to women out there. Yep. Start thinking about it. If you truly have an entrepreneurial spirit, please invest in being one. Do not leave it for tomorrow. Because tomorrow, you never know what's going to happen. It's going to be too late, and it's going to take you longer to do what you need to do. If you truly have an entrepreneurial spirit and you want to own your own, ladies, there's a way to do it. And it's going to take some time. It's going to take some hard work, but we are no strangers to hard work. So make sure that you take the time and opportunity to invest in yourself, because no one is going to invest in you unless you're investing in yourself. And if you believe in yourself, others will believe in you too. If you don't believe in yourself, no one is going to give you the time of day. So the voice is yours. Oh Lord, I'm getting some church in here. I'm just saying.
You preaching. You preaching.
I don't know where that came from.
You
but
are preaching.
Today was a day of preaching. That's all right. That's all right. I hope it inspires somebody, because we all of us, ladies, we are here to help others. And I get inspiration from you. You know what I'm saying? I'm humbled because, and we have to be humble. I'm humbled because of the ladies in the sistership and the people out there that are learning, healing, and growing because of our experiences. Yes. And I love that about the sistership. So
I know we're coming up to the end of timing, but
I was preaching, sorry.
But I also want to say that everyone in this group, our Queen Age, Spicy, I believe she's retired, but we all have entrepreneurship in us. Trish has, she is a jewel. You have Bling. You want to say what your business is?
Steph's Blings and Things. I sell $5 accessories. Come get at me.
What's your business? What's your business? Trish, can you hear me? Oh, she can't hear me.
I can hear you. I was on mute. I'm sorry. I am Rain. Okay. Premium sanitary napkins, toxin-free, chemical-free, plastic-free. Rain with me. She is a jewel.com.
And she is radiant.
Yeah.
I am.
We have Tiffany Cole, Tiffany Rowe, who has Bay Row Real Estate, which is amazing.
Bay Row Real Estate.
Oh my God, we have so many people. We have Lady K, who has her own podcast channel, and she's doing so many amazing things that are in the works that I know about that I can't share. But when she said, when she put us out there, I'm dancing. So we got a lot going on. I think we've come to the end of our time. Stephania, you want to close us out?
Yes. So, ladies, I appreciate it.
Before Stephania closes us out.
Yes.
Before you close us out, we're going to give a round of applause to Dory, because I truly believe she is the first